This is a scene from the 2024 Paris Olympics, and the opening ceremony was particularly innovative. A few days earlier, a monitoring vessel was sailing on the North Pacific. This is a scientific team dedicated to protecting marine life. The team is led by an expert, Amy. Plastic waste is severely polluting the marine environment. She urges humanity to stop using plastics as it pollutes the homes of marine creatures. They have been monitoring a mako shark for a long time. After a few weeks, they now need to retag this shark. But what they don't know is, danger has quietly approached. 4 team members received orders and quickly entered the water to begin the operation. Meanwhile, Amy observes the underwater situation from the boat. However, when she scanned the shark with her equipment, she found it had grown from 2.5 meters to 8 meters in a short time. If not for the previous tag, they would have thought it wasn't the same shark. Seeing this, the underwater team members dared not act rashly. However, there's always one who courts death. A team member slowly approached the shark and, taking it by surprise, fired a tracking dart. He succeeded in his objective, but he was also not far from death. The attacked shark was instantly enraged. Getting shot before it even had a meal was unbearable. It frantically attacked the team. From the boat, Amy saw this and grew extremely anxious. She quickly grabbed a harpoon and dived into the sea. As soon as she reached the location, she saw the severed arm of a team member. She understood her teammate had met with disaster. With no time for grief, she had to flee quickly. But the shark slowly swam towards her. The next second, dragged into the deep sea, Amy's eardrums ruptured from the immense pressure. The intense pain jolted her awake. She quickly cut the net tangled around her leg, saving her life. At the last moment before her oxygen ran out, she managed to swim to the surface. 3 years later, by the Seine River, 2 young men are magnet fishing. Using a powerful magnet, they often pull up unexpected treasures. First, a scooter. Then, the magnet latched onto a super heavy treasure. The 2 were scared stiff. Soon, the police arrived at the scene after receiving a call. After a search, they found over 100 bombs at the bottom of the river. An investigation revealed they were all hidden by some unknown faction during World War II. After clearing the bombs from the riverbed, they thought the crisis was over and left. Little did they know, these bombs were just a small part of it. Meanwhile, Amy, traumatized by her past, had changed jobs. She became a tour guide at an aquarium. Because the incident was so terrifying, she never wanted to reopen her old wounds. However, things didn't go as planned. As she was leaving work, a girl named Kaka stopped her. She introduced herself, explaining she had formed a small team to protect the oceans. All the members saw Amy as their idol and greatly admired her contributions to protecting marine life. A short while ago, they had accidentally discovered that the tracker on the shark Amy's team tagged had reappeared. Strangely, it was about to swim into the Seine River. They came to Amy because of her vast experience, certain she could lure the shark back to its original waters. Amy was speechless upon hearing this. Never mind that the man-eating shark from years ago had been missing for 3 years. If it really was the same one, why should she just go and get herself killed? As the atmosphere turned awkward, Amy turned and walked away. The scene changes. Back home, Amy sits on the sofa, lost in memories. Now, she relies on medication to calm her nerves. Remembering Kaka's words, she takes out the tracker, untouched for years. After turning it on, she discovers the shark's location is indeed in the Seine. It's even about to swim into the city center. Amy remembered this creature was already huge 3 years ago. It must be even bigger now. Moreover, it had tasted human flesh before. It would surely threaten the safety of the citizens. This shark had to be eliminated. Afterward, she rushed to the riverbank with the tracker. Although the tracker showed the shark was right here, how could a marine creature possibly survive in freshwater? She still found it hard to believe. At that moment, a small dog kept leaning towards the river, as if something in the water was attracting it. Amy looked up but didn't notice anything unusual. The scene changes. Kaka dives into the river and finds huge bite marks on a submerged car. A police patrol sees someone swimming at night and takes her back to the station. Kaka helplessly explains she only went in because there was a shark in the river. The police officer thought this eccentric girl was just joking. The next second, the comeback was swift. Meanwhile, Amy returned to the riverbank to observe the situation. The tracker showed the shark was circling nearby. She quickly shouted at a girl not to get close to the water. Suddenly, she received a call from the police. They told her they needed her help. She hurried over to check on the situation. When she arrived, she found the owner of the dog from last night was dead. When pulled from the water, only half his body remained. Kaka insisted it was the shark's doing. So the police called in the experienced expert Amy. By comparing the bite marks, Amy was certain it was the work of a mako shark. Led by an officer, she found the police chief and requested they block the waterway to eliminate the shark. The chief didn't believe such a fantastic story. She thought it was impossible for a shark to be in the Seine. She ordered several officers into the water to investigate. This move was basically serving the shark a few appetizers. But the officers had to obey the order. Amy felt helpless. She could only get on a boat to help watch the shark's tracker. Meanwhile, Kaka took the opportunity to sneak away. The officers, filled with apprehension, entered the water one by one. The river water was very murky. At first, they thought there couldn't be a shark in such shallow water, so they scanned the area with their flashlights. After a moment, they suddenly felt an intense pressure around them. They were sure there was a behemoth in the water. Suddenly, Amy on the shore saw the signal had disappeared. She and the other officers quickly pulled the divers onto the boat. The men made it safely ashore, telling everyone there really was something big in the water. However, Amy couldn't understand why the signal had vanished until she saw Kaka nearby. She instantly realized it was her doing. It turned out, Kaka was afraid the police would harm the shark. After slipping away, she had a hacker hide the tracker's signal. Amy tracked Kaka to her base, demanding to know why she would put several lives in danger. Kaka said the shark was pitiful. It would never attack humans unprovoked. She wanted to call on more people to protect it. Amy had no idea how to reason with this bleeding heart idealist. She could only leave to discuss countermeasures with the police. Meanwhile, the officers reported back to the police chief, stating the situation was extremely critical. They should listen to Amy and eliminate the shark immediately. The chief was also in a bind. The Seine was about to host the Olympic swimming competition. Athletes from all over the world were waiting to compete. Blocking the river to catch a shark would definitely disrupt the event, and it would also reflect negatively on Paris. Besides, she didn't have that much authority. For now, she could only report the matter to the mayor. At the same time, Kaka began to call on everyone to join in protecting marine life. She announced that a shark needed everyone's help. Soon, she would begin a rescue operation. She hoped everyone would witness this beautiful moment together. She left people all over the country dumbfounded. Saving it is fighting back against those who destroy our planet. This world belongs to us. Amy also saw Kaka's video. To prevent more people from dying in the shark's jaws, she told the police they must find the mayor and eliminate the shark as soon as possible. Otherwise, with Kaka's interference, something would surely go wrong. The next day, the chief took her to see the mayor, but the mayor was completely unreasonable. She said the billion-dollar competition would be ruined. How would the whole world view Paris then? As for herself, she'd be sent packing back to her farm. The competition must go on as planned. Amy was furious upon hearing this. She stated that a matter of life and death could not be treated as a joke. The mayor told her directly that it wasn't her problem. What did the government pay so many police officers for? Seeing that the mayor was useless, the team was utterly enraged. If they couldn't rely on the mayor, they had to rely on themselves. Just as everyone was about to act, the hacker girl from Kaka's group suddenly arrived. She told Amy she had reactivated the shark's tracker and found it had swum into the catacombs. The most ridiculous part was that Kaka was preparing to lead a team to save the shark. She planned to use a sonar repellent to drive it back to the sea. The hacker knew that shark was dangerous, but you can't reason with someone who's determined to die. Kaka wouldn't listen and used moral blackmail to bring her along. Hearing this, Amy and the others gathered their gear and headed to the catacombs. That place was once a burial ground for bones. At the very end was a large well, and the exit passage was extremely narrow. If an accident really happened in there, it would be impossible to escape in time. Just then, Kaka was indeed leading a group into action. She foolishly entered the water. Amy arrived and urged her not to be impulsive. The police also held the crowd back. They told Kaka that this shark had killed many people. Just as they said this, the shark swam right up to Kaka. The most terrifying thing was that it now had a baby. But Kaka was very rebellious. She actually reached out to touch the baby shark's teeth and head, saying that sharks are friendly creatures and that they would never attack people unprovoked. Everyone was shouting for her to get out. Seeing her dancing with death, a police officer prepared to enter the water to forcibly pull her ashore. However, the next second, the crowd was stunned and began to flee in panic. But because the platform was slippery and the crowd too dense, several more people fell into the water. Instantly, the water was stained red with blood. If you don't court death, you won't die. Kaka had really found a fine tomb for everyone. For a moment, everyone squeezed towards the exit to survive. The scene descended into chaos. Once again, Amy watched as the shark took countless lives. Afterward, the surviving wounded were sent to the hospital for emergency treatment. Standing in the hospital corridor, Amy felt lost and helpless. She fell into deep self-blame. All of this could have been avoided. A police officer saw her and quickly came to comfort her. The count was 12 dead and many injured. The police then returned to the catacombs to investigate. They found a dead baby shark floating on the water's surface. Amy immediately began to study the small shark. She quickly reached a conclusion. It turned out the mako shark and its offspring had all mutated. That's why they could survive perfectly well in freshwater. Tired of the deep sea, it had conveniently swum into the Seine, which led to the subsequent tragedy. The strangest part was when she cut open the shark's belly. Amy found it was full of baby sharks about to be born. But how could it be giving birth when it had only just been born itself? After a moment of thought, Amy's face filled with terror. The mutant shark could reproduce asexually and grew rapidly. If they weren't completely eliminated soon, at this reproductive rate, humanity would be finished. Following that, the team immediately reported the situation to the mayor. But the mayor wouldn't listen. She insisted on holding the competition no matter what, and even drove the team away. After suppressing the news, the mayor held a press conference and blatantly lied, telling the world there were absolutely no sharks in the Seine. The Paris Olympics welcomed everyone. The competition was tomorrow. Without the mayor's support, the team had no choice but to give up. Everyone was worried sick. But Amy understood, once the race began, it would be feeding time for the sharks. They couldn't just stand by and watch. Inspired by her, several righteous police officers joined the operation, striving to kill the man-eating shark before the competition. According to Amy's plan, one team would dive in from the deep well in the catacombs. After reaching the bottom, they would cross a 20-meter tunnel, then plant explosives at the entrance and exit respectively. They would then quickly lure the shark inside with sonar. If they could collapse the entrance and exit of the well, they could trap the shark inside. In the 3 minutes before the explosion, everyone could evacuate through the tunnel to the Seine. Meanwhile, another team would be on standby at the exit. Even if something went wrong, they could handle it promptly. Everyone thought the plan was foolproof. The next day, the plan was put into action. The competition was only a few hours away. They had to hurry. Amy led a team to plant the explosives according to the plan. Soon, they reached the location and successfully set the charges. Everything was ready. They then used sonar to lure the mako shark over. But something unexpected happened. Oh my god. In a short time, the mako shark had somehow given birth to hundreds of small sharks. And they had all grown enormous. They waited a long time, but the original large mako shark never appeared. Instead, more and more small sharks arrived. The team had to escape quickly. Just as a police officer was about to press the detonator and retreat, the next second, No time for grief. Another officer saw the device hadn't been activated and swam over to press the button. He too was instantly devoured by the sharks. The detonation countdown had begun. The remaining people retreated quickly. The timing was perfect. The bomb exploded just as they swam out. Meanwhile, the Paris Olympics officially began. First up was the opening swimming race of the triathlon championship. Reporters and spectators from all over the world came to watch. The mayor walked out dazzling. A reporter asked if the shark story was true. The mayor said it was all nonsense. She then began her passionate pre-race speech. Hundreds of athletes were poised to start. As the mayor fired the starting pistol, all the athletes jumped into the water. Cheers and shouts filled the air. Little did they know, a massacre was quietly approaching. Just then, Amy, who had gotten on the boat, jumped back into the water. She wanted to make sure everything was truly secure. Only when she saw the collapsed rubble blocking the passage did she finally feel at ease. But the next second, everyone had underestimated the power of this Mako shark. The pile of rocks couldn't stop it. Amy was in despair. The shark just circled her once and then left. Having had a close brush with death, Amy knew things were bad. She quickly swam to the surface to tell the others. However, the shark rammed the small boat, having an appetizer. In the end, only Amy and the male police officer survived. They thought the shark would continue to attack, but it swam away. Passing through the useless barrier net, the shark smoothly arrived at the competition venue for an all-you-can-eat buffet. As the athletes swam, some just disappeared. No one noticed anything was wrong. Suddenly, screams erupted from the audience. The swimmers were all bewildered, until they saw the water was full of shark fins. Everyone broke down instantly. How did competing in a race turn into becoming fish food? Then, everyone scrambled to climb ashore, but the sharks were eating too fast. Many athletes were devoured by the sharks. Soldiers, seeing this, immediately opened fire. But if explosives couldn't kill it, bullets were even more useless. Not only that, the mutant shark's intelligence was off the charts. It actually discovered the uncleared bombs at the bottom of the river. It then began to churn the water with its tail. One of the bombs exploded the moment it hit the riverbed. And then, seeing such a terrifying scene, everyone scattered and fled. But the shark was determined to detonate all the bombs. With the explosions, the river water kept swallowing the fleeing crowd. The stubborn mayor fell right into the water. Underwater is the shark's main battleground. Anyone who falls in has no chance of survival. After an unknown amount of time, only Amy and one police officer survived. Strangely, why were they hiding on a rooftop? It turned out the bomb explosions destroyed Paris's water supply system. Now, the entire city was underwater. The entire city became the sharks' territory. Given their breeding speed and intelligence, soon they would follow the rivers to reach all parts of the world and become the planet's overlords. The film ends here. It's simply unimaginable. A shark that can actually live in freshwater. And the most ridiculous part is that they took over the entire world. After all, fish need to live in water, but the sharks in the film, lacking the right conditions, created their own. This kind of theme is unprecedented. Humans have wantonly destroyed the marine environment. The massive use and careless disposal of plastic waste caused the sharks to mutate. An intelligent shark actually took down an entire city. Humans ultimately reap what they sowed. About 71% of the Earth's surface is covered by oceans. If marine life mutates, humanity will surely face a grim end. Therefore, we must take the protection of the marine environment seriously. Alright, that's all for today's video. If you liked my video, please subscribe to my channel. Your support is my greatest encouragement.